What if it rained food? What if Earth was a cube? What if we had 9 lives? What if bits could fly? It's absurd. If money grew on trees, if we didn't have knees, if we walked through life slightly magnetical, it's absurd. Absurd Hypotheticals.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Absurd Hypotheticals' second annual awards night show. I'm your host, Marcus Lehner, and I'm joined here today by Chris Yee and Ben Storms. Say hi, guys.
Hey, I'm Chris.
Hey, I'm Ben.
So, if you haven't listened to the show before, or have just listened to a couple, this episode is different than our other ones. We have made it to the end of 2019, and it is time to award our very prestigious absurdities to the questions and answers that have such deserved them. So, basically what we're going to do is we have a bunch of categories. We're going to announce a category, announce a couple nominees, and then who we've selected as the winner.
We did this last year too, and we covered some of the same categories. We've switched them up a little bit though.
Yeah, we have some new categories. We got some good oldies. These were not actually voted for. We have not yet enough listeners to actually get a real vote tally going.
Right.
But in the future, we will definitely be doing this, via an audience vote. But for now, we decided ourselves. We went through the list. We picked our favorites. I think they are all very deserving questions and answers.
It's a good way, if you aren't a regular listener of our show and you haven't listened to a lot of our episodes, this is a good way to learn which ones you should go back to and listen to.
Yeah, because these are generally ones that we particularly enjoyed for the most part, are the ones that we're highlighting here. So
yeah,
exactly. So yeah, this is a great way. We're going to be mentioning the episode numbers for all the different questions and answers if you want to go back and listen to them. So grab a note paper and a pencil.
I might just put them in the description too.
That works too. That's probably easier for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially those of you who are probably driving right now.
Right.
Don't break out a pencil and paper.
Drop the pencil. Put the pencil down, sir, please.
Well, probably don't read the description of this either while you're driving.
Yeah, wait until you get to work or whatever. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
It'll wait.
But yeah, since now that we've started our award show, like every good award show, with some car safety advice, it's time to present the first award. And the one presenting this will be longtime co-host of the show and overall big old dingus, Benjamin Storms.
I am very proud of my status as a big old dingus. It's on my business cards, actually. So our first category today is Best Lightning Round Question, which, basically every 10 episodes, or we start doing it
every 10.
Every 10 episodes.
Every 10. Well, yeah, but has it always been every 10? Do we do one for episode 10?
I think it's always been every 10.
Yeah? Oh.
Every 10 from the get-go.
From the get-go. So every 10 episodes, we do a lightning round where we will frequently come up with questions that are fun questions that we can't actually do a full episode on. But we want to still talk about it a little bit, so we'll do no research and just be idiots about the questions for an hour. And it's a great time.
Yeah, and we'll answer 7 or 8 questions as opposed to, just one.
Yeah.
Hence the lightning.
So kind of just rapid-fire rounds. Like a lightning round.
Like a lightning round.
You could say.
So these are our 3 favorite lightning round segments / questions that we had this year. So first up is from episode 70, the immovable toaster that came about from what if there was an immovable object, right? Was the question specifically?
Yes. And I think Marcus just decided that it was a toaster and we kind of rolled with it.
Yeah. We basically decided it was kind of just, once a year slam through the earth at high speeds and...
Well, that's what... We didn't start with that. We started with it floating in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And then we slowly realized that that's not true because the earth is moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, all movement is relative. So immovable is actually a kind of funny word in physics.
Yeah.
Right.
So we said there would be a yearly coming of the toaster.
Exactly.
On Earth.
We're just
then we realized that that's not true either because immovable is relative, and the sun and everything is moving. So there's just a toaster somewhere in space.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not even just you can pick the sun as a frame of reference, but really, on a cosmic scale, I guess you'd have to pick I think we picked the center of the Big Bang.
Yeah, I think so.
Our universe is expanding, so we're actually moving further and further away from that point at, comparatively very quick speeds. It's all, the scales don't make sense in space anyway, so probably millions of miles an hour or whatever it is. And so our toaster would kind of just be there and then just...
Stuff would hit it.
Yeah, that's what's great is that it's actually even better than us seeing it once a year, because it's just like once every like billion years, something in the galaxy will happen to slam into it at
Smash into our
massive
toaster.
speed, and then just probably cease existing because a toaster slammed through it that fast.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that was that. So that was our first nominee. Our second nominee was from episode 60, which was What If Everyone Could Hear Your Thoughts?
This one was less of like a weird, funny one and more of just like an interesting one.
Yeah.
Like in an unexpected way. So I think we said that like every single person in the world could hear your thoughts and that you had no control over it. So like if you were going to go see a movie like the new Star Wars movie or something and people didn't want spoilers, they would have to see it before you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So then we were saying that,
about that.
like you'd get companies would like pay you off to wait a couple of weeks to see a movie, and they'd advertise
Yeah.
when you would see it.
Right.
So people would drive to the theaters to go in and see it before you. Stuff like that. It was fun. And I know you, Chris, you thought about writing a story based on this, right?
Yeah, I feel like this would make a really, really interesting story. I was originally going to say like a short story, but I was thinking about it more, and I think it could actually make like a full-length novel.
Yeah.
Like it reminds me sort of Stranger Than Fiction a little bit.
Yeah.
It has a very Black Mirror vibe to me.
It is very
Yeah,
Black
it could
Mirror,
also
actually.
go darker with Black Mirror.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe eventually I'll write a story about it.
Yeah.
Which is more plausible than it sounds if you don't know. Chris also actually writes books.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
That's the thing he does. This isn't just out of nowhere. Like, yeah.
Right.
So if you go to our website, nerdchomp.com, and go to the To the Moon publishing section, you can see all the cool sci-fi and fantasy books that
Who
Chris
knows? Maybe if you're listening to this like years down the road, maybe this book will be there.
Hey, what do you know? There you go. It's possible.
That's kind of creepy that could happen.
I know, right? Anyway, that was our second nominee, but not our winner. Our winner was, and this was the only option for us, what if all animals glowed like fireflies? Because...
We got to say ass a lot.
Yeah, so, well, the fun thing, too, is that I think, Chris, you were saying you didn't realize this, right? That it was just...
Yeah, I didn't. So the question is, what if we all glow like fireflies? And I just assumed that our whole body was going to glow. But then you brought up in your answer that it would just be our ass.
Yeah, and then that just took us down, like... it pretty much just stopped the podcast for about 45 seconds while we laughed
Yeah.
at that realization. And then just for like the entire rest of the episode, Marcus said ass, and I'm pretty sure every single question we answered.
Because we were asking if it was like poisonous, and it'd be like, no, but you have to eat it for it to be poisonous. And
Right.
if you eat the ass,
If you're busy eating ass. I
we
mean,
kept on saying
another
eat the
problem.
ass.
So,
Oh man, that was. I think that's like the most third grade level humor I've exhibited on the show.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty high or low bar, I
Right.
guess you could say.
you limboed the low bar.
But I just couldn't. Once I remembered that we'd done that question, I couldn't pick any other one for the
Yeah.
For the
no,
winner.
There was no
That
way.
was a very, very
It was
clear
such a
winner.
vivid mental image of just like just a horse or a cow just on like top of a hill, like at the nighttime there's a big moon glowing out like in the background.
There was a big moon glowing.
And then just the ass is like like
Make a
it's too good.
lightsaber noise.
What if actually when he did that, what I was seeing was like a wolf like on a mountaintop, like arches his back to howl at the moon, and then as it's doing that, just the ass glows.
See, it works on so many levels.
Just
It's
every
perfect.
level. It's very good. Anyway,
So
that was our best lightning round question.
Yes, and our next category is most devious crime. Often on the show we cover like people doing crimes. So it's like one of our go-to answers, I guess.
It
For some
comes up a
reason.
lot more often than it probably
It does
should.
come up a lot. But we like to handpick a few of our favorites. And the first nominee that we have is the Snake Bank Heist from episode 48. So I think, Marcus, this was your answer, right?
yeah, this was my answer. And what I kind of liked about this one was I found this one of our more realistic heists, I guess you could say.
I would disagree with that.
So basically, I use a couple different snakes based on their, specific strengths and weaknesses. You have fast-acting poison, take out guards. You have snakes that can climb. You have snakes that can swallow all the money bags, like anacondas can swallow a lot of things. They can, transport all the goods, and I'm just assuming bags of money, like just bags full of gold coins, I think is what is in banks. So that goes out the window. That they carry those outside. Now, Chris, you mentioned you had a disagreement with me on this one about it not being realistic.
Yes.
Care to elaborate?
Well, I mean, just in general, like you had them like open a bank vault and stuff, right?
Yeah, I think that was your sticking point.
That was the main one.
Because what it was there's the snakes that can sense vibrations with their jaw as it rests on the ground, and it's very sensitive. So I was saying the tumblers on a safe vault could be, they could pick that up. And then I admit the step from them, that and figuring out what the tumbles mean to open the vault is a little tricky. But, you're training them perfectly. You could practice.
We also said that they can't pick anything up. And I think you worked out a system where, like, two snakes have to work together and, like, use the tip of their tails to pick stuff up.
That I don't actually specifically remember, but that sounds like something I would say. It was a great snake heist.
Yeah.
And definitely deserving being a nominee here.
Yes.
So
It was a good crime. Our next nominee was What If You Had Octopus Arms? It was my answer, actually. I did crimes. It was from episode 65, and I did, I think I did car theft is what I ended up on. So I started with the fact that they can, like, squeeze through small places, and I actually found an example of an octopus, like, escaping from an aquarium and, like, squeezing through a really small pipe to get to the ocean. And then I said that they can like change the texture of their skin so that they can push up the pins in a lock. So they're able to put their tentacle in a keyhole and then push up the pins and turn the key, and that's how they can start a car and drive away.
This 100% does not work.
Yeah, and now here we have now we have problems with that.
Yeah. It's funny because the two of you have different problems. Like, so Marcus, you have a problem with the octopus squeezing through the keyhole, right?
Yeah, I accept the octopus can squeeze through very tiny spaces. But I think as a matter of, like, skin thickness, compared to not having bones, like, a keyhole is very, very small and thin. Very small and thin.
It is, but I don't know. There's really no way we can actually know this for sure.
We can't. This is true. I take issue with it because I have pick locks, and you can't pick a lock that way.
Why not? If you push up all the pins at the same time, because the way you pick a lock, you do each pin one by one.
But they go. So the reason you have to do it that way is because they go to, like, different points. It's not like they all push up to the same. Like, you can't just push them all up and turn it. They have to go to like the reason the key is shaped the way it is that each, like, notch is pushing up a pin to, like, a certain point. So when they get held in the same place, the lock can turn.
Right.
So you can't.
But they can have bumpy skin, Ben. Bumpy.
Yeah, you can just raise your skin up to varying heights at certain points to push up the pins at different heights.
I don't think an octopus has that much fine control.
I don't know how much control they have. I know that they can do more than just one constant height.
But I know they can squeeze through things, but that's like a just pushing forward and squeezing through. That's not like
no, but they can actually, like, make their skin spiky too.
Guys.
Yeah. This is the problem with this question. It's come up twice before, I think, actually. We've gotten down this rabbit hole.
We're going to
this is the fourth time. It's like off air we've had this argument like 5 times.
Oh my god.
And
I mean, we're going to have another argument in
we have a lot of things to get through today. So I'm going to call it here.
Okay.
The snake bank heist and the octopus arms. This is basically the reason these two didn't win, because
because there were
harsh disagreements about practicality.
But the winner of this category was I think the question was,
how would you take over the world? What was your evil genius plan to take over the world?
Right. And Ben's answer to this question was the winner.
Yeah. Which my answer to this question was, in the end, be Elon Musk.
Yeah. Oh, this was episode 34.
Oh, yes, episode 34, yeah. So this one, the key was, I did not say that to start, obviously. I basically went through, like, make a startup and sell it so you have, like, the money. And then, be an eccentric tech genius so people don't think it's weird when you do, weird stuff like that. And then, figure out a way to, like, make death robots but keep them hidden. So maybe make, like, autonomous cars or something. And then just keep going down this path of things that Elon Musk has done to the point where it became, when you get to space and then it becomes very obvious that it was actually Elon Musk the whole time. So I was pretty proud of that one.
That was a really good one, especially because, like, I didn't realize until probably exactly when you wanted me to realize that you were just talking about Elon Musk. And I was like, oh, damn. Oh, damn. Like, that sounds legit, but it seems pretty, like, it didn't seem, like, very absurd what, like, your plan was. I'm like, okay, that's just like a reasonable way to do it.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
then I pulled the rug.
And you pulled the rug right out from under me.
Yep. Just like Elon Musk will when he finally turns on us.
The next category is one where I have a couple nominees here for my answers, which I think is why I'm presenting it. But it is the most incorrect fact. We get things wrong, sometimes very wrong, and these are some examples of our wrongness.
Yeah, sometimes we don't always get to acknowledge that we're wrong on the show, but we like to try to acknowledge a little bit.
Yeah, we do strive for accuracy. Like,
Yeah, but sometimes we don't realize right away.
Yeah.
yeah, or you prep it and then you say it out loud and you're like, oh, wait a minute,
That's
I
not
could've
right.
just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just, I'm saying it and I'm saying like kilometers, but I don't think that should be kilometers,
Yeah.
etc. But there's definitely a bunch of different ways you can be wrong. So our first nominee here, this one was actually from one of our lightning rounds, episode 50. We were talking about what if you had a bottomless hole. And so I was claiming, and I say I don't think I'm incorrect here.
No, you're wrong. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
So anyway, so what I'm claiming here is if you fall down a bottomless hole, you're infinitely falling. But, it's not the falling that kills you, it's hitting the ground. So you'll be alive in this falling thing. And I think you can have a society in your bottomless hole falling, because you can adjust the speed at which you fall by adding air resistance or taking it away. You can, dive or, put up a little parachute or something, so that now things moving at different speeds relative to you. Now you can get resources and things of other things that are falling down the big bottomless hole. You guys disagree, and I just want to hear why you think so.
Because it's not how this works.
So I actually don't really remember why we disagreed with you exactly.
I feel like part of mine involved water.
Oh, yeah.
Water was a big,
So you said
a
you were
big
going to
portion.
get rainwater, right?
Yeah. It's going to rain the hole.
Oh, I think waste too is a problem.
Oh, waste is a problem.
Yeah,
waste
because
is definitely a problem.
You can't just throw it down below you.
Well, you can. It's your only option.
You put waste in a bucket and then tie a parachute to it, and figure you're safe from it for 50 years.
Wait, no, that's bad, because then everything else is going to be contaminated.
Oh.
You want to put
It definitely needs to be below you.
an aerodynamic point on it or something.
But you can't do that. That doesn't work. That doesn't.
And you also need someone at the top throwing resources down to you at all times.
Well, I feel like if we had a bottomless hole, we would throw a lot of shit in it.
But I mean, the problem
It'd
is
be all waste.
Obviously, there's lots of problems,
Yeah.
and now we're just trying to answer this question again. So, my bottomless hole society is more flawed than I let on.
Yeah, there's kind of a hole in your argument, you would say.
Oh my god, a bottomless hole, yes. Nominee number 2. This, I think, is one of our most contentious things.
We've talked about
on
it a
this whole
bunch on the
podcast.
show.
Is episode 33 was our cereal mascot fight.
The second one.
Now, since I'm presenting, I get to make my case first. So, in doing these, basically, the research for doing these cereal mascot fights is watching a lot of commercials, because that's where you get to see all the things that they do, what their powers might be, and things along those lines. And so I watched dozens and dozens, probably somewhere between 50 and 100 Fruit Loops commercials.
Yeah, because you had Toucan Sam.
Yeah, to find out what Toucan Sam's powers were. And spoilers, he does not have really any helpful powers in a fight context. I got excited once where he was able to shoot a rainbow out of a box, and then it hit something and just changed the colors of it. And I'm like, fudge! It doesn't even hurt anything. But then, in watching all these commercials, I noticed more than a couple times Toucan Sam exhibiting super strength, very casually, very low key. Now, I just brought it up again. So, twice he has a grappling hook, and he throws it well over 100 feet into the air. So, if you need the strength required to throw grappling, to throw a piece of metal that far with rope attached, because rope weighs a lot too, is incredible. 2, he's getting attacked by a kraken. He physically, just with his hands, pushes the giant kraken's tentacles apart. There's a giant abominable snowman that's caught in a snowball rolling down a hill, and he just puts his hand out and stops it he puts his foot out and stops it with his foot. Big lake, big dam, he pulls the giant plug out underwater. That requires a lot of strength. And then one time he just carries a police car over a canyon. So these were my evidences for Toucan Sam having super strength.
Now, the reason this is in the most incorrect fact category is because I disagree with you. I think none of that, sure, all that stuff happened in the commercials. I don't think that means he has super strength. I equate all that to just cartoon physics. There are tons of cartoons that can do what appears to be super strength things, but they don't actually have super strength like as part of the canon of their character.
Yeah, and I'm not going to admit that I agree, but that is also a strong case. It is enough to get me in the most wrong category here.
Yeah.
So those are my two that were yours truly being wrong, but I wasn't wrong in the winner category here. And,
I was. And I actually do admit that I was wrong in this one.
Yep.
Yeah, so Chris, you admit you were on this one. This one is episode 63. We were talking about what if the Earth was totally flat.
Yes. And I looked at like rainwater, I think. So specifically the one fact that I said that would happen that is incorrect is that a giant water drop would form if there was like a really big slab of granite that like a bunch of rain falled onto. I said that they would like form into one drop and they would just like grow into one giant drop.
Yeah, like just a comically large water bubble.
Yeah, and then you'd have like a wall of water going up just like proportionally to you. And the reason I said this was because of the property called the contact angle with the water to the surface it's on. That's always supposed to stay constant. So I just assumed that it would scale up and then there'd be a wall. But that's actually not true. We looked into this. We actually argued about this a lot. And then eventually I looked more into it and I was like, oh, no, I'm wrong.
I want to say, too, did we say anything during the episode?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you guys said stuff. I think
I couldn't remember.
Marcus said stuff about it. And then Ben kind of agreed with me.
So, well, no. So I definitely had big red like alarm bell going off in my head because that did not seem right at all.
Yeah.
But
you were trying to like justify it and see if it was plausible.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out a way to, just because I knew that like that was kind of where your answer was going. Like for the most part, so I was like, okay, I can't just
say no, you're wrong.
Right, yeah. But I was like, this can't be right. There's something we're missing here.
Yeah. Well, what would actually happen is that the contact angle would stay the same, but that'd only be at the very, very bottom of the drop, and then the rest of it would just be flat. So it'd just be like a giant puddle.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's a property on flat surface. Like when you put water on something very flat, it does coalesce and form into little water bubbles.
Yeah.
But when you scale it up, all the other forces like, water pressure and weight and all those just outscale it. Like it doesn't scale up into large sizes.
Well, I mean, yeah, I based it like specifically on that contact angle property, but that's the only thing that would stay the same. Nothing else would really scale up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we put this one as the winner, I think, just because it was one of the few times where like I think the full conclusion of the answer was like, that doesn't really happen, does it?
And we didn't really get a chance to acknowledge that it was wrong.
Right.
Yeah, we did talk about it in the behind the scenes for that question. So for those of you who have joined our Patreon, you're hearing this for the second time. But we are admitting our stakes in the realm of the free episodes now. So winner of most incorrect fact goes to Chris for the giant drop of water.
I'm honored.
Big old dingus, you're up next.
Hey, it me. Our next category is most unexpected turn, which is our answers don't necessarily go the places that we expect them to sometimes. And this is really just, acknowledging the times when they went into particularly unexpected places.
Particularly absurd?
Yeah, particularly absurd, if
places, you might say?
So first up is an answer of mine, which was from episode 74, which was our What If Life Was Like a Board Game episode. And I did Monopoly. I made it communist? Which, if you're familiar with Monopoly, it's pretty much like the most capitalist thing there is, so I kind of just, flipped that one a little bit.
But you said to make it work in the real world, it had to be communist.
It had to be communist, because otherwise... So, okay, really this one came down to, more than anything else, the fact that there's player elimination in Monopoly, and that doesn't really work in a real-world context.
Because that means you die.
Right, or something, or I don't know, but then it doesn't really work, is it like, I don't know. So it couldn't make sense anyway, aside from making it a communist paradise, where this is like, effectively sharing the feeling of being wealthy.
Right. Basically, like the end result of scaling up the way the capitalist monopoly is set up is if you make it everywhere all the time for everybody, the end result is actually that it switches back to communism,
right.
Which is crazy.
Right. So, and actually even beyond that, I feel like Monopoly, like there is a weird amount of like the capital T, capital B, the bank is kind of this weird sort of, I don't know. There's always been sort of this weird undercurrent to Monopoly where it doesn't quite make sense from a capitalism perspective because you kind of just get money for existing, which is not capitalist.
It's called a job. I think thematically, it's your job that you get money from.
I guess.
And you invest the money from your job into real
They
estate.
just don't indicate what your job is.
But also, like, the thing is, the pool of money that you're getting it from is the same one you put like your taxes to and stuff. So it's like, it's weird. It's a weird, yeah. So anyway, point being, Monopoly is capitalist now. Next up.
But before we move away from Monopoly, just because I love sharing this, did you guys see this season's offering from the Monopoly companies?
Oh yeah. You should share this.
They are offering this holiday season that you can buy for you to enjoy with your family, the longest version ever of Monopoly. I forget exact. I think it's literally like Monopoly longest edition ever or something along those lines.
That sounds right.
But what they have done is they have tripled the length of the board. So there's 3 of each property. And so, like, it's like it nests within itself. So you go around and then you jump to like an inner ring and go around again backwards, or like, on the inside of the ring. So there's like a double layered board. So there's 3 times as many spaces, 3 of each property. You only roll 1 die instead of 2, so that it takes you twice as long to get around. And to make sure that you don't go broke and end the game prematurely, you're allowed to rip your money in half and use it twice.
It's so stupid.
So I'm really tempted to try this, just like as a event, like a party where we just like get people, like we're gonna do this
and
all
hate
day,
each
and
other.
just ironically enjoy it.
At least they're self-aware about it, about the game never ending.
Oh yeah, exactly.
If we were gonna do this, what we should do is also do like some kind of movie marathon at the same time, is see which finishes first.
See what
They have the Lord of the Rings trilogy
Versus
extended edition versus
Longest
longest Monopoly. I'm actually super down for this. We should do it.
Oh god, we'll see. All right.
But Ben, how about our second?
Yes,
nominee?
next nominee and most unexpected turn was the Lightsaber Space Pro, which I believe was Marcus's answer in episode 35.
I was not in this episode.
You were not. Your ankle was broken.
My ankle's broken.
Which meant you couldn't do a podcast.
There were reasons. We talked about it.
Anyhow.
Yeah.
So yeah, this one was a lot of fun. So the question was, what if you had a working lightsaber? And thanks to like the Star Wars Extended Universe, there's a bunch of actual technical information about the lightsabers, about how strong it was. And so in trying to find out how like energetic a lightsaber was, basically it turns out like the energy beam that's going, I think, is 9,000 horsepower, which is a good amount, but not more than like a lot of the stuff that we make already. So it wasn't particularly useful to like just like power machinery or anything like that. And basically the end result was I had this thing that put out a good amount of power, and the main draw of it was that it would do it for basically forever. I think the answer, let me check my notes here real quick, is that the energy in a lightsaber, based on how much energy is in those kyber crystals, would last 50 billion years, which is less time than current science predicts our universe will last. So you literally have an infinite power supply of 9,000 horsepower. And I just couldn't find a goddamn place to use it. Like, there was no applications for like medium energy long time, because you could just always get, mine more fuel in that time. So funnily, I looped back to space and found out the best use for that would be to make a space probe, because it's the only thing that can't refuel and the thing that you want to go, forever and ever and ever. So basically, I just attached the lightsaber to the space probe. But getting there from what am I going to do with the lightsaber, it was not where I expected to end up. I thought I was going to be like cutting down trees or something.
Right.
So that was a lot of fun.
And then finally, our winner for most unexpected turn, which hilariously, I was not part of this episode and still have actually not listened to it, so it's very unexpected for me. This was India Vultures from episode 53, which was something about birds?
Right. So the question was, what if there were no birds? And the start of this unexpected turn for me was finding out that this is a real problem down in India. And basically, in India, the vultures are oftentimes pick and clean the cow corpses because of with Hinduism that the cows are sacred, so they can't slaughter them in a controlled environment. They die out in the open, and the vultures are actually the fastest way to that they get picked clean. And it turns out India is actually having a real problem where the antibiotics used for the cows is killing the vultures because it's toxic to them. So now their vulture population has declined to basically nothing. And now wild dogs are filling that gap in the ecosystem, and the wild dogs, carry rabies, and they're territorial, and they're attacking people, and all this crazy, crazy stuff going on. So my answer for what if there were no birds went to cow management, And then I unveiled my great plan of a bunch of cows on a hill by the sea. And so it went from vultures to cows to basically terraforming India so that you could let the cows fall down and slide across grass and find the right angle so that they would ship off into the ocean where they would be, I guess, eaten by sharks and crap.
And the great thing is because Ben wasn't in this episode, he knew that the question was, what if birds didn't exist? And the only thing that he saw from this was your final answer, the final point of your answer, which was, could you skip a cow?
Right.
Yeah, because I one thing I didn't answer during the episode was I wanted to find out how the cows are going pretty fast when they hit the water down the hill, and I wanted to find out if they would skip and how many times they would skip. And I didn't have time to research it before the episode, so I tried doing it after the fact. And the math is incredibly complicated. But my conclusion was based on what was, what could skip, like cannonballs can skip on the water depending on how fast they go. You would get a good 2 or 3 skips out of a cow if you slid it down a mile-long hill.
I just love because we tried to have Ben guess what your answer was based on that, and he just had no idea.
Yeah, I couldn't even try.
So that's that one. Chris, you're on the next category.
So our next category was Best Would You Rather. So this year we added Would You Rathers. It wasn't always part of the show. I think we added them episode 43, I think.
I have no idea.
So somewhere in that range, because that was I think it was after.
It was right when we switched to one question per week.
Yeah.
Did we do it on the very first episode that we switched over, or was it? Did we do a couple
right now? I got it here. Episode 43. You called it. Wow, that's
43.
Weird, but impressive, I guess.
Yeah, so we added them recently, or I guess not recently anymore, but we've had some pretty good ones. So our first nominee is: Would you rather go to a mad scientist party or a cannibal party? And we just thought this one was a fun one to discuss.
Yeah, and this one was episode 72.
Yeah, 72. We basically decided that a cannibal party, you have less chance of dying.
Ironically.
Yeah, you'd probably just be standing around a bunch of people eating someone else and then talking to the cannibals, just normal party talk. But the mad scientist party would be wild, anything could happen. You're probably going to die, but if you don't, it's going to be the best party of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Cannibals are just, at the end of the day, they're just people. They're just going to be people. It's going to be a regular party. But the mad scientist is that's when the shit's going to go down.
Yeah.
I think we all decided to attend the mad scientist
I'm pretty
party.
sure,
Yes, we all said mad scientist party.
I do also think, because I feel like, Marcus, you were saying that you have a 1 in attendees chance of getting eaten. I don't think that's true, because usually you don't cook the food while people are at the party. Generally, it's prepared when they get there.
That's a fair point. Yeah, you probably wouldn't.
So you probably don't have a risk of dying. It's just awkward.
Yeah, it's just an awkward party. A cannibal party is an awkward, sad party.
Yeah.
And the mad scientist party is just it really it's based on your personality. If you want to play it safe and know you're going to make it home that night, period, then go to the cannibal party. But if you want to have a story to tell,
right,
go to the mad scientist party.
Even if that story is told from your new half human, half fish head, go to the mad scientist party.
And that would be a cool story.
Mm-hmm.
So our next one was episode 51, and it was, would you rather run 100 miles per hour or fly 10 miles per hour? And this was a contentious one between us.
I still can't believe that you think it's 100 miles per hour running, Chris.
Yeah, I chose 100 miles per hour running. Both of you chose flying 10 miles per hour.
Yeah.
So I just think it's way more practical, way more useful to be able to run 100 miles per hour everywhere.
Honestly, I think that if you had said that you thought it would be more fun to run 100 miles per hour than fly 10 miles per hour, I would have accepted that more as an answer than 100 miles per hour running being more practical. Because I don't think it's practical at all.
Yeah, we went to, there's no, when are you running 100 miles an hour?
In the city, because you said that anywhere
you're
you
gonna hit
go,
by a car.
Well, you don't have to go on the street, or you can if you want.
Well, no, we have
you
to
keep
cross
up
streets.
With the cars. You can keep up with the cars.
But you're gonna hit a stoplight. It's just driving.
I mean, you don't have to go 100 miles per hour.
But then just drive.
You're gonna get stuck in traffic and stuff. You can go anywhere.
But you know how you can also avoid getting stuck in traffic? By flying.
The thing is, if you're flying in the city, you have to go above the buildings, and the buildings are really tall. and you can only
I mean,
go 10 miles an hour.
That's okay. I think that's fine. I don't know.
So, I mean, I can definitely get to my destination faster running 100 miles per hour than flying 10 miles per hour in the city.
I also don't think that's true necessarily. I actually doubt that's true.
I just don't think it's practical. I just don't think even if you could run 100 miles an hour, you would pick that as your mode of transport most times. Like, or that you get that much out of doing that way. Especially once you have other people you need to transport with you.
Well, that doesn't matter either way. Like, both ways you can't transport other people, flying or running.
Right. So if it's impractical, but flying's way better when you're not talking practical.
It's got to be flying, man. I don't see how it's not flying.
Okay.
Yes,
we already
you convinced him.
No, you
No,
didn't
we
convince
just-
me. I'm
Damn
just
it.
saying we're not going to argue about
We're
this
not going to
anymore.
argue anymore. This is much like the octopus arms thing. We're going to have to
Yeah.
let this one lie because we've done this multiple times as well.
I think the ones that we picked for all these categories are just the ones that we got the most heated about.
I wanted to argue about again.
This is just us opening up old wounds, all from all the 2019 wounds.
Yep.
Well, not this next one. This next one we actually all thought was fun.
Oh,
So the winner of Best Would You Rather was from episode 64. And it was, would you rather have your elbows connected to each other or your knees connected to each other?
Both of these suck. I'm doing the elbows one right now again for some reason, and
Both
it's
of them
still
suck.
bad.
And I think the reason we like this so much is because it got us standing, or it got Ben standing up and
Yeah,
trying both.
yeah.
of
I'm
them.
the one who agreed to stand up and walk around with my knees touching each other, and it sucks so much.
This is a very interactive. This is the most interactive question we've had.
Yeah. But I feel like I still chose the knees one because
I
doing the
forget
elbows,
which one I chose.
doing the elbows one again, it's very hard to actually do anything.
Yeah. There's also a lot of like unforeseen problems that came up, like shirts and pants wearing were like I remember were issues.
Yeah.
I think you said that you don't have to connect your elbows like in front of you. You can like cross your arms and connect them that way, which is a lot more comfortable.
It is, but it still makes like you can't type that way with more than one hand.
Yeah, you can't type that way.
Yeah, I mean, this was just a very good would you rather because there's so many different implications about what you can and can't do with your elbows and knees connected, and they're all it's funny they're all doable. So there's not like okay, no, it's not elbows, it's not knees. It's like just they're all what inconveniences would you rather pick up?
Exactly.
And this one was episode 64, by the way.
Yep, I said that.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention, or I've forgotten.
Let's say that instead.
So our next category, Marcus.
Yep. The next one is raising the space bar.
Which means
Yeah, we weren't exactly sure what to name this one, but this year we did a lot of good space questions. So this is kind of the best space question, I guess, would probably be the thing.
Or I guess the best space
we would call
answer because some of these aren't. One of these in particular is not necessarily space related.
yeah.
That is very true.
Yeah, we got to space a lot this year.
Yeah, and that's our first one here, which was just this past holiday, which was my answer for the Thanksgiving Earth, episode number 73. I had a lot of fun with this one. So basically, this one, the question I was answering here, the question itself was, what if Earth was made of Thanksgiving dinner? And I kind of went a step further and said, what would the Earth look like if the ingredients for our solar system were Thanksgiving dinner instead of the typical hydrogen, helium, and rare and trace metals that would normally make up our universe.
Yeah, you wanted to see if Earth would actually form from Thanksgiving dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And so I went pretty deep on planet formation because there's actually a couple interesting steps, and the Thanksgiving dinner definitely affect them in different ways. And my conclusion of all this, which I was not expecting, because I kind of expected either the Earth would form or the Earth would not form, or there'd be just one big glob Thanksgiving dinner in the middle. And the answer I came out with was that the Earth would be there, and it would be a gas giant with rings, which was just kind of wild that was how it ended up working out.
I was very impressed that you could actually come up with an answer because I originally was going to do that answer and then it was too hard.
Well, that just proves that I'm the smartest host on the show. With you and Dingus over there.
So you don't have a nickname for me? It's just you?
Well, you didn't let me introduce you, so you don't get a nickname this episode.
Okay.
So that was the first nominee. The nominee number 2 is our question, episode 54, what if the Earth had no magnetic field? And so I really like this one just because it was interesting to see how the magnetic field worked and what the different effects were.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like I don't think I ever really look too much into the magnetic field of the Earth, you know? Like,
Yeah, kind of just accept that it exists, but
Right.
don't really know why.
yeah. Turns out it's pretty important, huh?
Yeah. I mean, it's important in a way that I didn't expect it to be.
Right, yeah.
AKA keeping all the space, the sun's radiation off of
Yeah, and keeping our
Earth,
atmosphere...
the surface of our planet.
keeping our atmosphere, like, existent.
Yeah. It prevents the solar flares from blowing away our atmosphere.
Yeah. Or solar wind, even. Not even solar flares, just general solar wind, so it doesn't even need some sort of event.
And the solar wind being made up of a bunch of, radiation coming from the sun. Because it's always emitting a bunch of radiation, which would normally strip away our atmosphere. But because the radiation reacts with magnetic fields, the iron in our planet spinning around generates a magnetic field that protects our planet, like in a little magnet bubble.
Yeah. It just makes the solar wind sort of curve around us.
Right. And it was really cool to see that, Mars had the magnetic field that then slowed down, and then because of that, that's why it got stripped away and is now more a desert planet. So it was more, for me, it was more about learning about Mars.
That's also true, yeah.
About how, basically, this is what would happen if we lost our magnetic field, is that we would just be Mars.
Yeah, it's cool that we had like a real life example of that.
Yeah.
And that there's a plan to fix Mars's magnetic field, or to give Mars a magnetic field was also pretty cool. But so that's episode 54. Check that one out. That one's fun. And then for our winner of raising the spacebar, the one that has raised the spacebar the most, was episode 38, whereas what if Earth was donut shaped?
So we did a similar question last year, what if Earth was a cube? And we kind of touched on this, on similar aspects
Themes,
of the question.
I guess, yeah.
So I think you did, or I did sunlight, Ben did gravity,
Yes.
and then Marcus did like survivability.
Yeah, to see if you could survive on this donut Earth. But there was a lot of cool things about the donut Earth that I like. Oh, I also did the moon. The
Yeah,
moon
you did the
orbits.
moon,
I just added that on as kind of a fun thing, because you could have a couple moon orbits that like go through the center of it, or like bob up and down in the middle, or regular moon orbits.
The cool thing from mine that I remember is that you'd be able to see the other side of the Earth. Like if you're in the inner circle of the donut, then you'd see the other other side of this inner circle, and it'd be like bright because the sun would be reflecting off of it.
Yeah, and that's kind of wild, just like, because it's hard for us to imagine like a structure like that, above the sky.
Yeah.
The things I like with mine, so there was two things. There was one, the escape velocity to actually like get out of the atmosphere would be the same, but because the rotational velocity at the equator was going to be higher, you could actually launch rockets way easier if you went in the like same direction of the rotation of the Earth. And there was also the thing with, there was a Lagrange point, which is basically a point where there's no gravitational potential in any direction because of the position of like planets and moons and stuff. And there was one right in the middle of the donut, so you could like park a satellite or a space station or something there and have it just sit there, which was cool.
I remember like in the tectonic plate movements, because the inner diameter of the donut Earth is like it's smaller than the outside surface area. So if you have the plates, moving around like they do, because the plates do move on a geological scale, they move around quite a bit, and in going in and out of the inner and outer surfaces of the donut, they would actually crunch together and make a lot more, mountains and islands and things of that nature. So it was that we were able actually to tell what the landscape of our donut Earth might look like, instead of just being like, oh yeah, there's some water and there's some land.
Right.
So we went pretty good on the research there and found a lot of cool, like, just things you wouldn't think about.
Especially because that's like something that's physically possible. So there's like actually stuff about it out there.
Yeah, that was the one. That's what I liked about it too, was that we picked the donut Earth specifically. We were gonna not revisit like a different shaped Earth question, but then the fact that this one is physically possible for it to form, unlikely as heck, but it's a stable shape for a planet. So that was a lot of fun. Big old dingus, you're presenting the next one.
So our next category is hardest question, which is just basically what it sounds like. We do some pretty tricky stuff here, but some of them are even trickier than others.
Some of them we don't really expect to be tricky, and then they are.
Yeah. So these require a lot more complicated research than what we usually do. So our first nominee was one that we definitely did not expect to be this hard, which was, what if no one could go outside? This one should have been easy, but it was hard for a different reason than usual, which is just that for some reason nothing really broke.
Yeah.
We had to delay this recording session like 3 times.
Yeah, because Marcus and I just couldn't like get answers.
Yeah, like you can do a bunch of research and like come up with some scenarios that like stunk, but like you can still do them. Like everything you can just like, oh yeah, but you can just put a roof over it or
Right,
get a tent or like we have it already.
The main thing was that it was easy to find an answer, but it was hard to find an interesting answer.
Yeah. There were a lot of things where it's like, oh, this would be very inconvenienced by this, but that's not the most compelling subject.
Yeah. But I mean, I think we did end up on some good things.
Yeah, I think it worked.
We got there.
It just took a while.
Yeah, a lot longer than we expected, but it was a good one. Definitely harder than we expected.
Yeah.
Next up, one that we figured probably would be pretty hard. Oh, sorry, that was episode 75. Forgot to say that. Can't go outside. Yeah. Episode 68 was, what if an element went missing from the periodic table? And we each picked an element.
Yeah, this was actually a listener question,
Yes.
I think.
So we each picked an element and just basically saw what would happen if that one disappeared.
This one, at least I expected this one to be difficult. I did not think this was going to be easy.
Yeah,
I chose the easy route on this one.
you did.
My answer was not difficult at all. So I covered synthetic elements, which are elements that we created and that don't exist naturally. So if they didn't exist, nothing would really change.
Right.
Yeah, Chris was like, I'm not dealing with that.
Yeah.
I had carbon, which is the building block of literally everything alive, which took some research.
And then I did masochist I am. I did hydrogen, which is the building block of literally everything that is. Everything that is. And this was actually it was good I did this one because it was kind of my intro foray into, I did star formation here, which kind of helped me out when I was doing planet formation in the Thanksgiving episode that followed afterwards. But yeah, this one was cool for me. I really like this one just because the early universe isn't really what I expected. Like, it wasn't too far off. So what I didn't expect was like that it was just all hydrogen helium. Like there was like no other elements, and none of the other elements formed until you had suns going, because you couldn't get heavier elements until you had nuclear fusion going on in the middle of the sun. And then it was cool too that the only thing that saved me on this question, if there was no hydrogen, was that in the early universe, electrons weren't attached to individual nuclei. So a hydrogen is just a neutron and it's a proton and electron, and that's what makes up hydrogen. So what saved me was that the electrons weren't attached to the protons. So it was just a bunch of protons in a electron kind of soup, like a very high energy plasma. So electrons were free, and so by single protons weren't technically hydrogen. So I didn't have to make protons not exist. So I could cheat a little bit and skip over into helium. And now I'm just going into the depths of my answers. So I'm going to pause myself there. If you want to listen to me get deep into it, listen to the episode. But that one got a bit wild.
It was a fun time, but not our hardest question. Our hardest question was episode 46, which was, what if the speed of light was 30 miles per hour? And man, did that break things.
Yeah, this one did not have the can't go outside problem.
Yeah. I will say, I took Chris's route. I just saw what would happen to animals.
Yeah, you both abandoned me on this one.
Yeah. We got there.
Yeah, we got there, but you guys both abandoned me because you were like, oh, what if just light goes 30 miles an hour? But you guys didn't tackle the implications that, the speed of light constant c in physics is now, 30 miles an hour instead of, times 10 to the 8th, whatever meters per second. So you guys tackled just light going slow, and I was left on my island trying to figure out how physics reorganizes itself with the speed of light being, the constant c being 30 miles an hour and all those, equations like E equals mc squared, which comes up sometimes in physics. And
it ends up like bending space-time and like...
Yeah, the way to look at it, there's a couple ways you can imagine it. And that's the biggest problem, is that none of this is intuitive. Like, it requires jumping through a couple hoops in the brain, because once things approach light speed, they stop making sense how we think about them, as far as like things going faster and slower, and having a speed limit on moving at all is kind of weird. So basically, think about it as like a sheet. Like you have a sheet, and then if you put a marble on it, it leaves a dent. And if other marbles go past it, they kind of get attracted to the gravity. And so the speed of light really affects the gravitational pull of things, because they have to be fast enough to escape gravity and go around See, I'm already losing myself in my own explanation. But basically, if the speed of light is less, you can imagine the tautness of the sheet being less. And so the marble on there goes way further down than it would normally, which makes it that much harder for other marbles.
So it's affected more by gravity.
Everything's affected more by gravity. And in the physical sense, you can basically imagine it as saying, hey, if the speed of light is 30 miles an hour, everything is astronomically heavier. To the point that even the weight of the Earth would collapse itself into a black hole, which means, of course, that the weight of the sun would crash itself into a black hole. And the size of the black hole would be that much bigger. And so basically all the marbles in all of the universe just pile up into one pile. So this one would actually destroy the whole universe.
Probably in our most destructive way that we've done so far.
It's up there.
Yeah, we had a similar conclusion last year. I remember we did one if space wasn't a vacuum.
Yeah, and that was mine, and it turned into, so instead of one big black hole, it was an infinite number of evenly spaced smaller black holes, which is better?
Sure.
Yeah. So those three were just the two of them were mind-boggling. One of them was just frustrating.
Yeah.
So our next category is Best Fighter, because we often do fight episodes on this podcast where we pick a category like soda or cereal. We look at their mascots and we match them together in a fight and see who would win. And we picked the three that we thought were the best fighters. So nominee number 1 is from episode 57.
Oh wait, it's actually 47. I just looked it up.
It's
47. 57 was soda mascots.
So episode 47, what was the category? It was
the category was snack food mascots.
Okay, so it was which snack mascot would win in a fight, and the fighter was Kool-Aid Man, and this was Ben's.
Yeah, Kool-Aid Man was great because Kool-Aid Man is basically just like when filled 5.5 tons, which is an elephant's weight, and it's very, very thick and strong glass. Really, the only weakness he kind of had was that it was unclear whether or not the juice was his blood. Because
we determined that it wasn't.
We determined it wasn't because there was a commercial where he starts out in the shower and then slowly he gets out filled with just ice water and pours Kool-Aid powder into himself and makes himself full of Kool-Aid. So
which implies that he doesn't need the liquid to survive.
Exactly. That he's actually just Pitcher Man who fills himself with Kool-Aid and becomes Kool-Aid Man.
It could be any drink.
Any drink, yeah. He's a free agent, guys.
I think we accepted that he was naked if he didn't have that, and if he was naked, he'd be too embarrassed to continue fighting.
Yes, yeah, that sounds right.
And that would factor into the fight.
Also, we I forgot. Thanks, notes. We established that his blood type is clearly oh yeah.
Stop.
That's in my notes.
Thanks. Marcus had the same reaction to that.
But yeah, so
that was nominee number 1.
Yeah.
Our next nominee was from episode 62, which Nicktoon would win in a fight. And we had Timmy Turner. This was Marcus.
Yeah, Timmy Turner, obviously from the Fairly Odd Parents. His power is just that he can wish for anything.
It's pretty good.
And there are rules, but
there was the rules.
They're very loose.
Yeah, but they were loose. And what I loved about it was that there's a whole list of them, and I think about half of them were Timmy Turner specific because there'd be very regularly an episode plot where he, breaks a rule and then faces doesn't quite face the consequences because they rewrite it just for him, or he fucks up something's technically not against the rules and he abuses it and then they add a rule for just him. But it was one of those things where it was just it was hard to come across to find a way that just him being able to wish for anything at any time doesn't let him win.
I remember during the episode I argued with you a lot about his intelligence, and that was his one main weakness, but I still can't deny how powerful he is.
Yeah, exactly. He has to, shoot himself in the foot, and the thing is, even if he fucks up, he can just wish more. He can just do more wishes.
Yeah.
If things start looking bad, he's going to panic and just make a bunch more wishes, which on average are going to win him the fight.
But even with unlimited wishes, he was not the winner of this category. The fighter that we thought was the best was from episode 42, which cartoon would win in a fight, specifically the Cartoon Network theme, because we did a bunch of them. And we said the Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah, the Powerpuff Girls, I remember just starting this episode, researching them, and they're just, puns aside, comically powerful.
Right.
Yeah.
I really I just had a 2-page list of their powers, a lot of them which are very broken. And I just like auctioneers fast read this list as kind of my point of how powerful the Powerpuff Girls were. You know, there's three of them, so even if you like get lucky and get rid of one, there's like two more.
A lot of them are very like episode specific for just like a very certain scenario, but a lot of them are very, very powerful. Like traveling the speed of light.
Yeah, that was a good one. Like they had one episode where they were just like trying out different powers too, where it was like, so I just had like a list of like 30 from like one episode. I think they had the highest win percentage we've ever had on a would you rather fight. Not a would you rather fight, on a hypothetical fight.
Who are they against again? I forget.
It was
Samurai Jack and Dexter's Lab.
And Dexter. I think we were arguing over 1% win rate.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
We were arguing whether Samurai Jack gets 1%, I think, and I didn't want to give you that 1%.
I always argue with that because you always pick like powerful people and then you're like, you get 1%. But that's like your go-to number is 1%. I was like, no, it's more than that.
It's really not, though.
That time
they
it
fought
was
100 times. That one I think was less than 1%. That one is like you would have to fight like 1,000 times before he gets lucky enough.
Yeah.
But that just goes to show how, you know, that whether we were arguing about the 99% win rate and then we're arguing about the last percent, just goes to show how powerful the Powerpuff Girls are.
I actually think the fight between Timmy Turner and the Powerpuff Girls would be pretty close, right?
I think the fact that there's 3 Powerpuff Girls sways it pretty far in their favor.
Yeah, and the fact that they can move faster than the speed of light, they could get him before.
They'd be more determined. They'd be like Timmy Turner would be distracted. They would know what their goal is. They want to kill Timmy Turner.
Yeah.
And he needs the time to make a wish, which I think the Powerpuff Girls could just not give them if they were not so inclined.
Which is why they're the winner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Marcus, our next category.
Alrighty. This one feels a lot like the last one I was introducing about the space bar. This one is, which question broke the most physics? So obviously a lot of our hypotheticals break the physics, but some of them break them more than others.
Yeah, some of them were able to like actually make scientifically make sense. Some of them are just like impossible to do that.
Yeah, we just have to be like, okay, this just doesn't apply anymore. This 20% of physics no longer exists.
Yeah.
Right. And so the first one is, what if sound waves were visible? Now, this one broke physics because...
Episode 58.
Episode 58, thank you. So this one broke physics because, well, they're not. The reason they're not is because physics just doesn't work that way. So in order for sounds to be visible, I remember I was talking, so what I thought was a joke answer at first was people were talking about, you know, the particles that make up light, photons, and the particles that make up sound, phonons. And I'm like, that's not a real thing.
That can't be real.
Turns out phonons are a real thing. They're the tiny particle that's able to carry vibrational motion. And the reason you don't see sound is because the phonons and the photons are in such different frequencies that they just don't interact with each other. Like the light, I forget if it's that much longer, that much shorter, just doesn't hit the phonons. So they are so far apart in frequency that they don't affect each other. So to jam these together to make physics work, I had to speed up or slow down the phonons. Let me see if it's... I don't think I have it clearly written in my notes because I don't think I really understood it myself at the time when I was doing the answer. I knew I had to do it, but I just didn't know how it would get done. But yeah, when you start talking about photons, the thing that like science specifically doesn't understand yet, because it's like, oh yeah, it's light is a particle and a wave, and it's made up of these photons, which are kind of like particles, but not.
I know originally we wanted to make it like so that it's visible in terms of colors too, but that doesn't really make sense in terms of what sound actually is, because it's a different type of wave than like a light wave is.
Yeah, I really wanted to break it even more and do the colors, because that would have been really cool, but you know what? It's okay.
Yeah, like talking like synesthesia type stuff.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember, what did you guys do for this one? Do you remember?
Mine was kind of weird. I spent most of the time on sporting events, because they get very loud and how the ways that would like affect the sports and everything.
Oh yeah, wobbly football.
I did like vehicle sounds and like highway noise.
Gotcha. Yep. I feel like I was abandoned again on the physics.
You don't have, you brought this on yourself. Like
you don't have to choose the hard answer.
The physics one.
That is true. I'm a bit masochistic there. Our next one that broke the most physics was, what if all roads were rivers, in episode 37.
Ben was also not in this one, right?
Yeah, I missed this one. Apparently, whenever I miss episodes, they're good. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, now that the year's over and your contract needs to get renewed, Ben, it's not going to. Sorry.
That's fair.
Didn't want to tell you during the award show, but you get the award for most fired.
Yay! I always won an award.
So yeah, what if Frozen Rivers? So this one was kind of weird in just that it took us a long time to either decide to ignore or make work the fact that water runs downhill and roads aren't flat.
Right.
And we wanted the rivers to flow in the direction of the traffic.
Right. And there needs to be like a constant source of water if that's true, which doesn't make sense really.
Yeah, so you have to just literally ignore.
So I think what we ended up doing was that there was like a constant source of water just like pumping up from the ground at the top of every hill. And that would just like cycle around when it reaches the end of the road. So it would be like a conveyor belt of water.
Yeah, I forget I can't remember if we abandoned the two-way river traffic or if we decided.
Yeah, I don't remember if we did or not.
I know I drew a diagram once of, and I think I sent it to like the group chat while we were discussing the question, where it was like, okay, so the water flows down and then drains into like, you know, whatever reservoir or something that you need, and then gets pumped back up to the top of the road again. So water is always flowing downhill, but it won't pool at the bottom of the roads, which would be the other problem.
Yeah, I don't think we got two-way streets working because I don't think how would that work?
Yeah, exactly.
And also intersections got kind of confusing because like two flows going into each other, it like gets all messed up.
Yeah, I think we had whirlpool intersections, which was kind of cool. I actually liked that a bit. But yeah, no, this was every time we tried to actually look at a specific road or curve or intersection, it was like, hold on, we have to adjust our setup here. So that was episode 37. We had some good stuff there, but I'm sure there's lots of setup talk while we go through it. A lot of parameters. And then our winner of which one broke the most physics was actually nothing dissolving in water. So this one, oh my god, this one. This is one of the few ones where I actually brought in like outside help. I got in touch with our friend Lauren, who's a chemistry major. She's doing like some stuff in that because, you know, dissolving in water is kind of on the chemistry side of things. And we actually talked about this like multiple times over the time of prep for this answer, trying to figure out exactly, well, first off, what dissolving is, like how it works and what it means if it can't.
Yeah, that on its own was a really big, like we kind of take it as given that we know what it means to dissolve, and yet.
Yeah, and yet once I tried to answer it, I just didn't know what dissolving was.
Yeah.
And I don't really remember what dissolving is anymore. I couldn't tell you right now as I sit here. And then, God, this is another one where I decided I was going to bang my head against the wall because I decided to tackle a very difficult part of the question. Where I went with this one, and this one kind of still haunts me to this day, this question. I'm going to figure it out for real someday. Is if nothing dissolves in water, it's actually the things that are dissolved in water, all the bits of all the chemicals that let water be a conductor of electricity. So it's the free floating electrons from things that have been dissolved that let, you know, electricity pass through it. And if nothing dissolves in water, water is pure, water is actually an insulator as opposed to a conductor. And the question I was trying to answer was if lightning would strike an ocean made of pure water. Because lightning needs to hit, you know, it goes to the ground because when lightning is in the sky, it charges the ground, and the ground's not very conductive, but has some parts that can be conductive, that can be converted, and then lightning strikes, and then that charge dissipates into there. But you need conductors to dissipate a charge, and you need to be able to have the positive charge form on the ground level. And it's not clear if water would do that. And it's not clear I think water would, the way I ended up with my answer is that water would let lightning strike, but then it couldn't dissipate the charge. And then there's this floating,
like a live charge just in the middle of the ocean that someone could run into.
Yeah, there's this floating blob of like lightning in the ocean that would, once it finds something to conduct to, would then release that charge. But I don't know if that's how that works either. I need like a deep like meteorological chemistry and physics degree.
I mean, if there's a ship going by and it transfers over to the ship, then there's still nowhere for it to go. It'd just be on the ship now.
Yeah, it hurt my brain the most, and it's one. Again, this is the question that will haunt me for all the days. This was episode 39. This was 40 episodes ago. And I still am like, it drives me nuts. So that's the winner. I don't care about all your guys, what you guys did on that one. It broke the most physics for me. It broke like 3 classes of physics while I was trying to research it. Last one. Oh, our last category being presented by non-special guest, Big Ol' Dingus.
That's not our last one.
Sorry, next category.
Yeah. Next category is Best in Show, which, despite the name, I hate this name for this category because it's great, but also it's very confusing. Best in Show is not the best in our show. Best in Show is about animals, like a dog show.
Yeah.
This is our best animal-related question, or best animals in a question. It depends on, what we choose. So, our first nominee is from episode 45, what was that episode?
If all sports were in pool.
We're in pools or in water? Pool specifically?
In pools, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
What if all sports were pool sports?
What if all sports were pool sports? We had Dolphin water polo, which I believe was Marcus.
Yep, so this is, I think the second time I talked about water polo. I'm trying to make it work. I think the first time was if you had a 10-pound ball in a sport.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to see if it would drown the water polo players. I think it technically worked. But yeah, so I decided to revisit water polo and tackle it with dolphins because they're agile. Some of the highlights of it, I really like that like in SeaWorld and things where they do dolphin shows, people can ride 1 foot on 2 dolphins and stay above the water and be like completely exposed. And then people could also dive with dolphins.
So you could have like an above water and underwater game.
Exactly, and that's what I did. I had 2 nets, one above the water and one below the water. And so you'd have 2 games going on, which is lots of dolphins, lots of people going everywhere, and a kind of wild, frantic cacophony of dolphins.
Our next nominee was also Marcus and also water polo. Reindeer water polo from episode 77.
Yep, you might remember this one just from
right
last
before
week.
This. Yeah.
I like how both the nominees are water polo.
Yep.
So I like this as a more practical. Like you probably can't play dolphin water polo, but you could play reindeer water polo. You can domesticate reindeer, and the idea what sells this one for me is the antler slingshot. I think would just be a really cool part of this water polo sport where you just have like I just imagining myself on the back of a reindeer, and then just like pulling back with the ball on a big slingshot and just letting it loose and it like skipping over the water, and a bunch of other reindeer frantically trying to block it with like their antlers and bodies and things. Like that just sounds like a good time.
It's something that seems obvious when you mention it, the antler slingshot, but I didn't think about it at first.
Yeah, I never would have thought of that, but yeah, it does seem so obvious now.
And it was weird too, because when I like wrote it down in my notes, I got like really hard deja vu, and I'm like, did I do this already? I can't. Is this somewhere in our Did I talk about this in like a different animals episode? Because I could have sworn I did it.
I feel like you did a slingshot sometime, but I don't remember what or why.
It definitely wasn't a reindeer because we've never done reindeer.
It wasn't
before.
a reindeer.
Yeah, so I was very worried that I did that before. And maybe I did. If I did, let me know.
I feel like you looked into slingshots for something, maybe. I don't remember.
But in any case, reindeer slingshots, literally, oh my god, I missed the best fucking joke in the world, was you get to play these reindeer games.
Oh, I hate you.
You got it eventually. A week late.
Anyway, our winner was not water polo.
No!
was in fact just the concept of dinosaurs. We had an episode about dinosaurs. What if we had a dinosaur, right?
I think it was what if we could perfectly train dinosaurs?
Yep, episode 41.
Perfectly trained dinosaurs? I don't know. But we just all picked a dinosaur and talked about how it'd be cool to have that dinosaur for an hour. Yeah. It was good.
I'd like to say that me and Ben did it correctly, where I picked the cool flying pterodactylish dinosaur, the Quetzalcoatlus, and Ben, you picked
the unreasonably large dinosaur, the Dreadnoughtus.
And then you picked like a dopey Slothosaurus or something?
No, I chose the Therizinosaurus, which is like a scythe lizard is what it's called, but I used it to clean gutters.
Yeah!
Because it had like super long claws, and it was like super tall, so I could reach the gutters, and it just scraped at the gutters.
It made sense. It was just like, this is very much a wish. There was a very much a wish fulfillment episode where I was like, yeah. I'm going to fly my pterodactyl. And Ben's like, I'm going to water slide down my brontosaurus. And then you're like, I'm going to start a suburban like gutter cleaning company.
Because part of my answer was like, okay, this dinosaur has giant claws. What can you do with claws? And like, it always ended up just me killing people. I didn't want to kill people.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Like, it's fine that if you had like a question was like, what would you do with this dopey scythe lizard animal? Cleaning gutters is fine, but you could have picked a different dinosaur.
I wanted
Right.
to stick to my guns. I don't want to ditch this dinosaur. There's nothing against this dinosaur. It's a cool dinosaur.
It's not its fault that its best use is cleaning gutters or murder.
Right. It's either cleaning gutters or murder, which you got to pick one.
Yeah, just pick your poison.
So that was our animal answers. Now we have our sports category, which is best sport created, because on the show we like to either like alter sports or like see what sports would be like in like a different setting than normal, and sometimes we come up with some really interesting things. So our first nominee is from episode 45, and it is underwater basketball. This was my answer. So I remember when I was first looking at underwater sports, I came across underwater hockey, ice hockey. And I remember it was like they cut a hole in the ice and then they go underwater and play ice hockey upside down on the bottom surface of the ice, which is crazy to me.
It's just absolutely wild.
Yeah, that's a
Right.
real thing. So I was like, that's an awesome concept. I want to do that, but with basketball. So I basically just I covered the top of a pool with like a removable floor or something, and all the players are going to play basketball upside down on that floor, and the buoyant force of the water pushing up on the basketball would simulate gravity going down in normal basketball, and then you just have a bunch of thrusters to like move around underwater. It'd be cool.
I remember the thrusters. I got very excited about
Oh,
the
I did get
thrusters.
very excited about the thrusters, which we can bring up in no, it's not this one.
No.
I thought it was going to be the next nominee, but it wasn't. It was, yeah, in that episode Ben covered tennis.
Yeah, I did water tennis, underwater tennis.
And Marcus got really excited about thrusters in his answer.
Yeah, I kept insinuating that Ben should insert thrusters into his answer, even though he didn't have them there.
And I kept vigorously denying that we needed thrusters.
But our next nominee was also tennis. It was also Ben's answer. I guess you like tennis.
Yeah. Apparently, it didn't really mean for it to happen, but
Yeah, it's from episode 76. It was ice tennis.
yeah, ice tennis was fun because one, I had the fun realization that the tennis rulebooks say nothing about what surface you play on.
Yeah, this is our old, our legal
Technically,
sport.
yeah. Technically legally tennis by the rules of tennis, ice tennis. But what's fun is that the material that you're playing on mostly what it affects is how fast, like how much the speed will reduce after impact when the ball hits the court. And on a low friction surface like ice, it's going to reduce like not at all. So the shots are going to just go blasting past you while you're like sliding around trying to get in position to return them, and you won't be able to. It'll be great. Probably terrible to watch. Nothing will ever happen. It'll just be serves over and over. But
Yeah, right.
it'll be hilarious.
And then the winner for the category was from episode 36. It was Marcus's answer, I believe. Football?
Yep, football.
Bowl.
So my biggest frustration with the Super Bowl is that there's no bowls anywhere. I mean, technically the stadium is kind of bowl-like.
like a cereal bowl, not like an animal bowl.
Yeah, exactly. So I decided that we're going to commit to making the Super Bowl a bowl. And so I basically just took football and rearranged the field so that it was in a bowl. So I had all the way in the middle. You would have, there'd be water in the middle where it was the lowest. And I think I had it starting at about like the 30s and getting about like 5 feet deep or so, like at the middle. So like the game starts in like a good amount of water. So it's kind of like an awkward shuffle in the beginning, which I think is a nice. The first play of the game is going to take longer, which is nice, which is going to extend the amount of time in football anyway. And then once you get out of the water, now it's starting to slope a little, get a little bit more slopey, because if you think about a bowl, it's like very steep on the edges and like kind of shallow in the middle. So in between, you have your regular football grass that's going up and up and up. But then by the time you get to the edges, now it's almost vertical. And I think you put the goalpost way on top of that. And like the last bit of the Super Bowl is like actually doing some rock climbing on like this rock climbing wall. So I really enjoyed the different stages of how the game would evolve.
I like that it basically just starts out with water polo. With your water in the middle.
It kind of does. So all the answers are water polo.
When you think about it, all sports are water polo, really.
Really, the category we should have made the best sport category just be best water polo category.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the icing on top of this one was just Oh yeah, I didn't start the players in the water, so it's not water polo. I started the players at the top of the rock climbing wall, and they zip lined in.
Okay.
That's right.
So I did make the sport a bit more dangerous, I admit.
Which is difficult when you're talking about football.
I mean,
But I
the
did.
whole premise of the question is we're trying to make it better. So dangerous, better.
Oh, that's fair.
And this moves us on to our drum roll. Last category, which is the most absurd hypothetical, which does sound like it's the question that's the most absurd. That's not what this category is. This is our best in show. So
this is
one,
our equivalent of best picture.
Yeah, we're good at hypothetical questions, not at naming categories.
yes, this is our big award. This is the one where we just think overall is the best for
What represents our
we
show.
liked our answers, what our show encapsulates as far as what it's trying to do. I guess this would be like, hey, if you're listening to our show, try these episodes. These were a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So our first nominee is episode number 67. What if you had to build an underwater city? So this one was really cool because it was a little bit different than our typical answers in that we worked together a lot more on it.
Yeah, we had to be collaborative with our answers. Because we discussed ahead of time, like, if we should build our own individual underwater cities, which we decided not to because we thought we'd kind of cover, like, all the same kind of stuff. So what we decided to do instead was just we would all build the same underwater city, but we would cover different parts of it.
Right. And they kind of relied on each other. So we kind of had to be like, okay, so how big is it? How big is that? And we kind of, our answers kind of integrated because you need to have some information about the city before you can answer other questions about it. And then it just came together really cool because there's a lot of interesting problems we had to solve. And I think we did them in really cool ways. Like, so for that one, I was doing the heating and energy, of the underwater city. And I really like that if you are able to place it on a geothermal vent, you kind of kill two birds with one stone because you can use it to heat your city and to provide energy. So I thought that was a nice green solution to keep our city going. Then, Ben, I forget, you were covering food?
I looked at
Transport?
food mostly, yeah. Food and then like resupplying. Which the two great things came out of this. One, I mean, sort of just fun thing that we referred to a few times, like later on in the year. We talked about vertical farming, which is like the, fully enclosed, like, farming solutions that wound up being very useful a couple other times. But then the bigger thing, in the resupply, this is where we learned about the World War II milk cows, which were the U-boats that brought supplies to other U-boats and had a bakery in them to bring fresh bread.
That was amazing. I love that so much. I like how this question got nominated without that. And I'm like,
Yeah, I
oh
kinda
man,
forgot about that
I would
vote right
nominate
now.
just for the U-boat bakeries.
The milk cow, yeah.
And then Chris, you covered all the
structural stuff. So like what it was made
structures
out of.
and pressure and all
So I
that.
think I ended up making it like a geodesic dome with the members. I think I made the members. It was made of isofloat, which is like a type of foam that was like really strong, so it could withstand the compressive force underwater. But it was also like not very dense, so you don't get a lot of weight underwater. And then I made the space in between those beams just acrylic, and the acrylic had to be like super thick. I remember at first,
originally,
my initial numbers were not thick at all. I forget what they were. They were like,
I think it was like a foot thick, and it was like 20 foot, 10 foot spans or something.
No, I think it was like a couple inches thick or
Yeah, I
something.
think it was a
and I was
few
just like,
inches thick.
wait, hold on. That can't be right. And then like 5 minutes later, you were like, wait, no.
and we were clearly like, that's not right. Eventually, I got the final thickness was 2.5 feet thick.
Yeah.
Sounds reasonable for a big underwater adventure.
Yeah. I remember this one too. We were discussing whether there would be a buoyant force pushing upward, and we weren't sure.
I was sure. I just need to convince you.
Yeah, I was unsure, and you had to convince me that if it's on the ground and there's no water underneath it, then there's no water pushing upwards. So there is no buoyant force upwards.
Actually, I did take it back. I did have to look it up. I didn't just.
Yeah.
I wasn't just like super smart. Because I just realized I came across as like kind of condescending, and I'm like, I'm sorry, Chris.
And I think that's
sorry.
why I had used the isofloat instead of steel, because I started with steel. But because there's no buoyant force upward, that means all the force is pushing downward from the weight of the water and the weight of all the materials. And I wasn't sure exactly what the carrying capacity of the ground was, but I figured we'd want to alleviate it a little bit. So I had the isofloat, and then I had a giant balloon above it made of isofloat that was like pulling the whole city upwards a little bit.
Just for good measure.
Yeah.
All right. So that's our first nominee. Our second nominee, which we talked a little bit about. Oh, no, not yet. No, we didn't talk about this one specifically.
Yeah, we did. We talked about Toucan Sam.
Oh, we did. He's up there near the beginning. Sorry. So that's a slight spoiler. Our second nominee is Serial Mascot Fight, episode number 33.
Spoilers for 1 second from now.
Look, it's still a spoiler. So I think this is the one we spent the most time researching, just as far as content watched.
Yeah, all these mascot fight things require us to watch a ton of commercials. So depending on the category, there can be a lot of commercials.
But Toucan Sam debate aside, I really liked how this fight kind of evolved and we went back and forth.
This is also our second serial fight. We've done a serial fight before and we liked how it went, so we returned to it.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, this is our second round 2 of our serial fight. So yeah, I mean it's tough to say exactly what part of this question made it sing, but it's just like it's probably our, like, if people ask me about what our fights are like, I always mention this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very recognizable characters that people know.
Like, it's Toucan Sam versus Tony the Tiger versus... Who was your guy for this one, Chris?
Mine was Trix Rabbit.
Trix Rabbit, yeah. So it was a really intriguing matchup because they weren't, like, besides Toucan Sam, of course, overtly powerful.
Yeah, the first serial fight were more obvious. There was like a vampire. For Count Chocula, it was Captain Crunch, so he was like a Navy guy.
And then a leprechaun.
Yeah, and a leprechaun.
But, you know...
with ridiculous magic powers,
yeah. Exactly.
So those were more obvious fighters. These were kind of like the B team a little bit.
I also like this one because it was one of my first forays into brand Twitter accounts for our show.
Oh, yeah.
This is where I found the Tony the Tiger Twitter account. This was the one where, so this was the one where originally it was Tony the Tiger. It was like at Real Tony Tiger, but they had to change it because furries kept tweeting it like Frost My Flakes Daddy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's so bad.
So now it's just a generic Frosted Flakes Twitter account and it doesn't tweet that much. So yeah.
All right, but then, drum roll again.
Please stop making that noise.
The winner of the most absurd hypothetical award and the best question for 2019, episode number 51. What if you got 1% faster every month? I love these questions.
Yeah, I really like the getting something % faster every month. They're like,
yeah, incremental is fun.
Incremental stuff.
Because what does it kind of like builds a little bit of a narrative into the question where it's like, you know, you start off, what can you do with like a little bit of extra speed? And then what can you do with like a good amount of extra speed? And then it's like, what can you do when you're too fast?
And you have to like plan your life around it. So like at this age, you'll be this fast.
Yeah,
exactly. And so there's a lot of good meat on them bones for these, you know, 1% faster, stronger, taller, all these questions that we do. But I really love the different directions that we went with the 1% faster.
I think I did the most like obvious one, which is just running fast, right?
Right. And I think you saw like when you'd break the sound barrier and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know you broke the land speed record when you were like 58.
Yeah, I remember I covered it was, you know, you're this fast, but you can always go slow. You don't have to go as fast as you can. You don't gotta go fast like the blue hedgehog. You know, you can choose to go slower. So I was looking at times when you can't choose to go slower, and the one I got to was your knee-jerk reflex, the doctor's office, and about how just absolutely destructive it would be if you are, you know, 1, break the sound barrier, and 2, you know, kick your leg out at, you know, hypersonic speeds, basically right next to your doctor.
And like you'd do it every year, so you'd get incrementally faster every year for the doctor.
I don't think your doctor would take you the next year, so it's going to be a new doctor. He's not going to get used to it.
Well, it wouldn't happen for like a long time, and you'd just be like, huh, this is weird, because it'd be 1% every year, every month. And then for my answer, I looked at more mundane tasks. So I looked into like grocery bagging, and like I guess they have competitions for bagging groceries and stuff.
Oh yeah, I like that rabbit hole you went down.
Yeah, so I went down like their scoring system for that, and then eventually I went to typing and like typing on a keyboard, and I wanted to see if you could type faster than the world's fastest printer. And then I moved on to toothbrushes and looking at like, because they have supersonic or ultrasonic toothbrushes, I wanted to see if you could move your hand fast enough to like beat that.
To beat that meat? Oops, sorry.
And then the final like conclusion of my answer was drumming. So I concluded that eventually you'd be able to drum fast enough that you'd create like mini sonic booms in the air, and you could air drum with sonic booms.
Yeah, so all those answers are super cool to me.
Yeah.
So I am not ashamed to say that our best question was that episode 51. What did you got 1% faster? And that'll do it for our awards show. Congratulations to all our winners. Again, listeners, thank you so much for joining us for another great year of hypothetical questions. We absolutely love doing the show and diving into all these dumb topics. It makes us a lot of fun at parties when any fact of any topic comes up. Again, just a reminder, after this episode, we'll be on hiatus for 1 month, for the month of January. We will not be releasing our weekly episode, just so that we can really relax and enjoy the holiday instead of having to worry about our recording schedule. Just a, real life gets in the way break. But we will be back the first week in February with our usual schedule.
We'll be on February 3rd. We'll be back.
Yep, that is the first week in February. Thank you. They can look
Be
it up. They
specific.
can look at the calendar, Chris. They can look at a goddamn calendar.
Well, I want to make it so I don't have to look at the calendar. February 3rd.
Well, that just goes to show how much Chris cares about you guys. He doesn't want you to look at some gross old calendars. If you really want to listen to an episode during January, we will be releasing a behind-the-scenes episode on our Patreon. So if you go to www.patreon.com/absurdhypotheticals and you join our one and only $1 Patreon tier, you get access to our behind-the-scenes episodes that we release every month, where we kind of do a lot of what we did today, where we review the last month's questions. We go into all these different debates about what was correct, what was wrong, what we felt about the questions.
Yeah, a little more in depth. If we have like a problem with someone else's answer or something, then we'll dive into it and we'll argue about it.
Exactly. And then we also go a bit into how we make the show, how we pick questions, our recording setups, how we prepare answers, a little bit, just peeling back the curtain to give you guys a peek inside. But that'll do it for this year. I'll see you guys in February.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year!